A to the K.
to the K.
To the K. WWE's backstage described as chaos.
Well, WWE's draft has concluded with numerous NXT call-ups and several free agents, whatever that is.
A new major debut set for AEW Collision.
What? Well, Edge has given an update on his retirement plans.
Bray Wyatt set to have a new WWE writer.
Well, AEW's All-In Day 1 sales have set a new UK record.
Damn. As revealed on this show, AEW All Out set to take place the week after All In.
Well, Carl, as seen on WrestleMania, Shane McMahon has had some issues as of late with injury, but he is not done with wrestling.
Trinity Fatu, formerly known as Naomi in WWE, has made her debut for Impact Wrestling.
What? Well, Leva Bates has announced her AEW contract has expired.
And we have some congratulations in order for several WWE superstars. Anthony Wendell is coming up.
Right friggin' now.
Yes, it is. And we're going to kick off with some chaos.
Chaos!
As we do on the show. Kicking off with some chaos. And according to Uncle Dave himself, he has described the current backstage situation in WWE as chaos. Now, obviously, we just had the draft. And what he alluded to was there's a lot of things being said and then being changed last minute at the moment backstage. You know, there's been reported that several stars didn't know which brand they were going to end up on until basically the day that they found out.
Yes.
Which isn't ideal.
Isn't that how a draft works?
Well, supposedly. When it's not, you know, when it's real.
Well, yeah.
It's still real to me, damn it. So I'm going to talk about it. It's not like LA Knight then. Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Uncle Dave basically saying that there's described the backstage in WWE at the moment as chaos, which is interesting. But it also came to light today as well that Vince McMahon has supposedly still been getting involved, if you will. He had supposedly been submitting potential opponents for Roman Reigns following the draft, which was supposedly scoffed at by the writing team.
Scoffed, you say?
Scoffed. Nom nom nom. Eat it right up. So... yeah, a couple of things to unpack there. So,
okay, unpack, man.
The whole chaos that's going on at the minute in WWE, do you think it was just because of the draft and all the stuff there, or do you think, is there more to it? Do you think, is it a Triple H thing? Is it a Vince McMahon thing? What's really going on?
Is it a good thing? Because that's how we determine it. If it's a bad thing, it's Vince.
Yeah.
If it's a good thing,
that is true.
It's Trips.
That is true. I mean, do you still believe that? How much of a role do you think Vince McMahon has got at the minute?
As much as he fucking wants.
Well, yeah. I mean, there is that. But like people, you know, it's so true what you've just said. Is anything that anyone doesn't like at the minute on WWE programming, they're very much like, "Oh, Vince is back. It's written all over the show."
Yeah, that's the trouble. I think sadly the dirt sheets, if you will, doesn't really help because they talk about like, oh, and he's remotely making changes to scripts and so it's like, where's the source on that? Like they can't cite the sources because the secret sources, but it's like secret sources,
secret source.
Yeah, like and you go, well, okay, so we don't know where these sources come from. WWE obviously wouldn't confirm anything. So you go, well, how reliable is this information? We just have it on good authority that Vince is making changes and he is involved. But again, like you say, people just love to do that whenever it's something they don't like now.
Yeah. It was like he was there after WrestleMania, wasn't he? And everyone's there straight away going, it was chaos and the script was taught and all this kind of stuff. And trying to spin it is kind of a shit a situation as it possibly could be. The following week, he wasn't even supposedly there, but then he was sending rewrites in via email. And now it's obviously come down to chaos is happening. Like, I don't know. Is he really that involved?
But, well, you still get people. I think I may be misquoting here, but people like I want to say Road Dogg has actually gone out and said like Triple H is still very much in charge.
Yeah. Well, even Nick Khan, he's basically said like, at the end of the day, you've got someone like Vince McMahon who's run the company since its fucking foundation. Essentially, you're gonna go to him and ask him some questions from time to time, and run things by him. But Triple H is the creative booker of the show.
Vince, do I make a bark like a dog? What do you think?
I love it. That's good shit. So I don't know. I think people are really losing their minds about this whole Vince thing. And, I'm under no illusion. There was times over the last 3 or 4 years that, Raw especially was very kind of like, painful. But we have gone through a pandemic. We have gone through a lot of different stuff. And Vince doesn't get credit for all the good things he did in that time. Like, I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. The whole Bloodline thing was a Vince McMahon idea.
What I love is they almost paint it like Vince is like he's an out-of-touch old man. It's like, yeah, we need to hand the reins over to another old man, but not quite as old.
Yeah.
Like, Triple H isn't exactly like a young, hip. Even I'm sounding old by trying to say this, but you know what I mean. It's like, this is a man in his 50s, right? So like, is that really like, you know, the youth of today having their input? It's Triple H, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think, you know, people for whatever reason are diehard like NXT fans from when Triple H was booking it and stuff, which I, especially towards the latter end,
let's be honest, it's better than
was not
the Shawn Michaels NXT we have now.
Well, anything that Shawn Michaels touches goes to shit. Let's be fair. But you know, bias aside, I don't know. I think it's a massive adaptation for Triple H to try and book for the main roster. And there's a lot more, you know, sponsorships and eyeballs and ratings and everything matters more. So he's not going to go do something completely crazy. Like the WWE formula has worked. It's tried and tested for years.
Yeah. That's why they have a monopoly.
Exactly. So it's funny because for some reason Triple H can do no wrong. And it's like, well, he can and he has. And he will continue to do so.
I mean, this is the thing. This is the thing. Because, you know, I think ultimately the callbacks he's had haven't really been the best thing. There's some people are going to have to get let go again. Apparently we're getting budget cuts going forward. He brought back a lot of people to a lot of cheap pops. That's all they were. Like long term, there's a few there that are probably not going to sustain.
No.
You know?
Well, you know, people used to shit on Tony Khan for that, didn't they? Like every week, oh, he's not going to be able to, you know, debut people every week. And it's like, well, that's what Triple H's first run was. And everyone's like, oh, we love it. It's amazing. It's exciting. Because I don't know who's going to come back next. Because they got rid of like 90 people. So any of those people could come back. It's like, well, you had the Cody coattails to ride, which is fair dues.
Yeah.
But I think Vince wanted him anyway. And you had the Bloodline coattails to ride, which Vince set up in the first place. It's like, look back to the previous WrestleMania.
Our stories are getting a bit thin.
Look back to WrestleMania.
So far, all he's done for my Bloodline story is include Matt Riddle.
Yay.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. Oh, you know, after going, well, we're going to change the rules on drug violations because we want to keep Matt.
Well, yeah.
That was nice of them.
Yeah.
I'm nothing against him, by the way. I think it's really funny, the hypocrisy there. It's like, no, we did say 3 strikes, but we didn't mean 3 strikes.
No. I don't know. I think, you know, this year's WrestleMania had some awesome matches. It had Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew. It had the main event with Cody and Roman. Obviously, the finish was underwhelming, to say the least. But for me, WrestleMania 38 was probably better, and Vince had that one. So,
yeah, fair.
Suck it.
Now, obviously, Triple H, we talked about, like, he's still very much in charge. So, presumably, his fingerprints were all over the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes. So,
how do you feel about the draft? Like, it's going to be our next headline here, but obviously the draft is pretty much completed. Interesting this year that they seem to be using the free agent thing quite a lot. But the first thing I want to ask you about is there's been a lot of NXT call-ups. Now, do you think this is like a Triple H thing here? I'm going, well, you know, Triple H has got some control, and obviously NXT was his baby, and he's got some NXT favourites. Do you think that's possibly what's happening here, or do you think these people were ready? Because there's certain ones where you go, had they really, like, all due respect, and there's no, again, NXT is a brilliant show, but like Odyssey Jones, like, were they done with NXT?
I mean, not being there for long, to be fair.
So it's like, okay, and then Apollo Crews, like, okay, he's flip flopped back and forth that much. Was this the right time to come back? You know, but in the shares on there, I didn't even know they were still a thing. I'll be honest with you. Admittedly, I'm slightly out of touch with NXT.
Well,
like, there seems to be a few people who got sent down to NXT to develop after being on the main roster, and they're coming back without, as far as I'm concerned, much development. Like, what's Apollo Crews going to offer to the main roster that he hasn't already offered before? And that's no disrespect to Apollo. He was US title holder. He was doing really well, and then obviously not so well. You know, it is what it is. But there's just a few in there that I'm like, this is interesting. Like the approach they've had.
Yeah, there was a lot of call-ups.
A lot of call-ups. I mean, there's an exhaustive list here, and I won't obviously bore everyone with reading through it all. But there's quite a lot of NXT call-ups. Quite a good little shake-up, really, in general. Quite Raw heavy as well.
Yeah, I've seen that. Like, to be fair, it's very Raw heavy, and I get it. It's got 3 hours. You know, it's got an extra hour, hasn't it, every week? But I don't know. There's a lot of talent there. SmackDown feels a bit light. Yeah, especially for the Roman Reigns picture. Like, which massive baby faces have they really moved over?
I know, right? And you go, Yeah, he does need some opponents,
Yeah,
though.
you've got like Edge and AJ Styles. After that, you know what I mean?
And, that's 2 programs that are fairly decent, but you're probably going to put Edge against AJ for a while.
Yeah, but it's even like, it's kind of the opposite effect over on Raw. You've just got a shit ton of baby faces. There's no heels, really. Like, who's Cody going to go up
Cody's going to be the heel. After he wins the title that his dad never wanted, celebrates that, and everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to have to be a Drew McIntyre turn, I think, which I'm all for, by the way.
Do you know what could be an interesting one, though, I notice in here?
Go on.
Cameron Grimes. I've yet to see his sort of redeveloped self, really. So I think he might stand a good chance of being decent on the main roster.
It's hard, isn't it? Like, it's one of the biggest problems WWE has at the minute is building new stars. And I think, they've brought up a shit ton here. Yeah. Almost as a way to say, well, we're going to throw them all in. Let's see who sinks and swims. The ones that don't make an impact.
If you throw enough shit, some of it'll stick.
Well, exactly. And I feel like that's the approach they've gone. I think a lot of these ones who've been, brought up now, probably 50, 60%, if not more, are going to be released by next year. Because, the WWE NXT development system is essentially get them ready, put them on TV. If they fail, they're gone.
Yeah. I mean, we'll look at, I don't know if it's still the case, but one of the threats before the draft was, Karrion Kross is getting one last chance. So if you're doing that to the likes of Karrion Kross, who's more over than half of these people anyway, then, that's... It doesn't bode well. This might be a mechanism for them to go, sink or swim. So we might see a fair amount of cuts. What do you make of this free agent element of it? It's been painted in some elements almost by design. So you look at Omos and MVP have been labelled free agents, but then it was MVP's done that deliberately. He's negotiated that so that Omos can go between both shows. Brock Lesnar, notably, is a free agent because he needs to go between both shows. So it's so what, anyone who you want to put on both shows is just going to be labelled as free agents?
It kind of undermines the whole thing for me. I get it. The MVP negotiating on Omos's behalf makes sense. Apparently Brock Lesnar renegotiated his status, which makes sense. Then you've just got a list of other people. Well,
do you know what? Outside of there's a couple that you go, is this for some sort of story development? So you got Omos and MVP, right? But you also have Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. So is it possibly some sort of re-emergence of the hair business in some way?
Could be.
Is having them all as free agents and uncertain could be a thing to get them to SmackDown with Bobby, But then you have the likes of Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali, Elias, and the ones who it just feels like they're the ones that they've gone,
yeah.
Which
doesn't really make any sense, does it, as such? The roster's not, it's not that big, if you think about it. So,
well, exactly. I don't think there needed to be a free agent element. No. I understand certain people like Brock needed that exception because, it's
always been accepted, Taker, for example, and people like that. We always go through that tier list, don't we? And there's S tier.
Yeah, exactly.
John Cena, if he wants to rock up on Raw or SmackDown when he comes back.
He fucking will.
He will do. He's John Cena. So,
and Brock's kind of at that status, and he's in all fairness. Omos not so much.
Yeah. So I don't mind it too much. Even the Omos thing, because it makes sense. But the others, it's just kind of it feels like an oversight.
A big shocking one for me, and I know I've been in defence of him for a while, but Baron Corbin. That's interesting.
Even that one makes a little bit of sense. Nobody wants him.
Yeah, because after all the I get that. But
like Elias and stuff and Dolph Ziggler, it's kind of you think they just get picked some Dolph's a former world champ.
Yeah. It's crazy. But one last thing is, did you see some of the fun that the USA Network were having on Twitter?
I saw a couple of little snippets. I saw they made a pop about Karrion Kross.
I loved it. They were basically saying, because he got drafted to SmackDown, they were like, it's probably for the best, considering, I think, like last time he was on Raw, he wore a helmet or something like that, and you're like, nice, okay, I like that we're being playful.
I like it when the social media teams actually get involved and have a bit of banter.
They're channeling the inner Wendy's, aren't they?
Hell yeah. So, excited to see what happens, but not massively...
But not too excited.
Yeah, I'm not massively taken aback by the picks. Now, this thing is very exciting, though. Now, CM Punk is reportedly coming back to AEW imminently.
He's been doing his tour of the backstage areas of various wrestling companies.
Basically.
Playing Uno, apparently, as well. Interesting.
Well,
sorry, come on.
Does whatever the fuck he wants, that guy. Probably eating some Mindy's Bakery while he was there. But, so it's been reported Punk will make his return, probably at Collision. But it's also been reported that there's going to be another major debut /return taking place at Collision. Now nobody knows what this is or like who it is or anything like that. But obviously the speculations are: is it going to be someone like Kota Ibushi, like a brand new debut?
Look, it's going to be Goldberg, and we're all going to be like, oh,
could
for
be
fuck's
Goldberg.
sake.
Could be Mercedes Moné.
I spoke for everyone. We're all going to be. Everyone's going to be made up by me. I'm just going to be sat there like...
Just everyone in unison. Could be Mercedes Moné. Could be, several other free agents that are out there. Or the fact that they said it could be a debut or return. And I'm like, well, who's missing at this point? Who would make such a... Other than Punk? Do you know what I mean? Who's going to come back and be like, oh my God. And be like a massive shocking thing.
Hold on. Let me work on this.
I can't think.
Cody.
But well, you never thought he was
that is a shock return.
Yeah. So fascinating, and probably the right move to make as well to get more eyeballs on the show. Obviously, when Rampage started, it was CM Punk's debut, wasn't it? And it was like it drew shitload of eyeballs, and everyone was like,
Tony has a bit of a history of overselling stuff.
Does,
and is Sean Spears back yet?
He's
throwing it out there right now. Is
he's
he back?
Around.
He's back from his paternity leave.
Yeah, he's around. But
okay.
Exciting though, nonetheless. I think it's a good move to make. It'll get eyeballs on the very first show, and they need to kick it off with a bang because they put a lot of eggs in one basket here now with this because they've cancelled Dark and Dark Elevation now.
Yeah, so, apparently it's something to do with the Discovery Warner deal.
Yeah, so apparently the new deal says that they had exclusive rights to show AEW programming. So
bye YouTube.
YouTube's gone, which I think it makes sense. They're going to have 3 shows now. Assuming Rampage sticks around, they're going to have Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. That's enough.
Which is going to be the developmental brand?
Probably Rampage now at this point. So yeah, I think exciting news. I'm excited to see who it's going to be, and yeah, I'm excited to watch the show.
I'm excited.
And this helps. We're going to get some debut or return.
So Carl, Edge very recently has been on Impulsive because that's the podcast that'll get any WWE wrestler they want right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was having a chat to Logan. It's a really good episode, even if you're not a fan of Logan Paul. And I know there are very few people who aren't, given the millions of followers he seems to have. But if you don't regularly watch Impulsive, I'd encourage watching the Adam Copeland episode because it's a nice conversation they have. They talk about obviously almost swapping stories in a way. And I mentioned this to you off air, but I'll mention it now, which isn't totally related to this particular article, but Logan talks about the whole celebrity involvement in wrestling and him obviously trying to live up to the other wrestlers and so on. And Edge was sort of making reference to the fact that like people seem to forget that WrestleMania 1 included a ton of celebrities like to Mr. T and so on, and that Logan's basically doing stuff that most celebrities weren't. Like back in the day, it was just it's the spectacle. We've got this person. Like Logan's like jumping off shit and he's saying I can't remember what move it was where he said like referenced the move Logan did at WrestleMania. He's like his hips couldn't take that sort of thing, and obviously Logan's like, well, I mean, you speared off the top of a ladder, and he's like, yeah, that was stupid kind of thing. It's a really good guy. I thoroughly enjoyed the chat anyway. But obviously they asked him about his possible retirement from wrestling, and he hasn't given a solid sort of date on it, but he has sort of referenced the fact that like, he has to consider he's got a family, he's got young kids there, he wants to enjoy them. And that's, how did he put it? He said he was watching a lot of like Rocky films. I think he was doing a Rocky film marathon before he returned. And he said like the sort of the story and the monologues from Stallone and that, they sort of got him. And then like mindset wise, and then obviously when he come back to that big pop and that electric, he was like, that's what it's about. And he never got to retire the first time on his own terms, so he wants to retire this time on his own terms. And for him, it's like while he's still getting that reaction and that feeling, and it's not like, oh, it's him, then he's gonna sort of keep going. But it is.
Hasn't he said it's probably not a year now?
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not offered a solid sort of this is where I'm finishing, but he doesn't think there's long left. And like you say, it might be in the next year, really, that he goes, you know what?
Could be next WrestleMania,
I'm out.
Final match.
And that's fair. I think the main thing is him getting to retire on his own terms, and that is something that, like, it's a luxury he's been afforded in a way, isn't it? Because he never thought he'd be able to do that, and that's amazing that he can. But enjoy your Edge while you got him, is all I'm saying, because it may be that he bows out. And that won't be the last time we see him, I'm sure, but as a consistent day-to-day wrestler, he's referenced the fact that, like, he's having to try and sort of get in the ring with people like Austin Theory, who's like 25, and
trying to keep up.
Was only just born or wasn't born when he had his first match.
Yeah.
So it's like there's definite like change
Yeah.
there. So I get where he's coming from, and you know what, you just got to enjoy it while he's there, don't you?
Yeah, Edge is a ledge.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, do you remember the pop when he came back at Rumble? No one thought we were going to see him back in the ring, and it was amazing, and you just got to enjoy it, man.
Yeah, I want to see him more like that Edge, to be honest. I think the whole stuff with the whole Judgment Day and like he's had a lot of.
What about the Brood? It's like, shut up.
Yeah, like I just want to see like not necessarily the rated R superstar as such, but just. You know,
I don't think given the way it's a PG product in ours, and I don't think they'll ever return to the rated R.
Yeah,
just because they don't want to have to go like, well, how much rated R mean? You know,
ridiculous.
But you know what? It doesn't. I just feel like they don't have to do like a tour of like. Remember this gimmick? Just Edge. Just be Edge.
Just be Edge. So this next one, short and sweet. So as we know, Bray Wyatt is currently sidelined with an unknown illness. He's hoping. I think I'm not too sure who reported it because we're dead good at what we do. Somebody made a comment that they're not sure when he's coming back, but he's very excited to be back when that will be. But it's come out today that he's set to have a new writer writing the storylines for him now. If you remember, they brought in a guy who'd previously worked with Marvel, who was going to be the head of like long-term storytelling to work specifically with Bray. And it's not really worked at all, has it? Let's be fair. So
I mean, I feel like no one really gave it much of a chance. We'll never truly know what went on there.
Yeah.
But he never really had a story. He had a quick feud. He
had a lot of intrigue and mystique, and I fucking loved it. The whole White Rabbit thing.
Yeah, and all that puzzly stuff. Sadly, he won't be able to return that way this time. People are going to be like, "Well, are you going to do leave again?" Yeah. He just needs to sort of come back quick. I think.
Yeah. I just hope he comes back, and because it was so dragged out. And we get it's long-term storytelling, but it was like. Not happened week to week. But
the trouble is, I think you could live with it if there was a payoff, but the long-term story was eventually having a very quick match with LA Knight.
Yeah, that was glow in the dark. And Uncle Howdy would jump and miss the thing.
Yeah, and even if you bought into the whole impact of it, like LA Knight was back on SmackDown a couple of weeks later.
Yeah.
And still talking shit. And still like losing every week, but talking about having WrestleMania moments, which never happened. But LA Knight aside, the payoff wasn't there, and they could do a long-term story if they know where they're going with it, but I honestly don't feel like they did. No. Other than going, well, we want to get him into a feud with LA Knight.
Yeah, they need to just hone what his character's going to be, what Uncle Howdy is, and, all that good stuff. So, yeah, hopefully, I mean, his health is the most important thing. Hopefully he's back soon, and hopefully, he does what we know he's capable of doing, which is, being in compelling storylines. So, fingers crossed for that.
He's this generation's Undertaker. They just need to embrace it, man.
He whispered it in his ear.
No, to be fair though, he is, isn't he? Like, we don't have any other characters like that with that mystique around them. The same way, he's not the Undertaker, and he never will be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But he's like, that's the closest thing we've got in WWE is that kind of mystique and that kind of character from Bray Wyatt. And if they dealt with it properly and wrote it properly and embraced it, that's what he could be. He could be this generation's Undertaker.
Could be.
And
there's a picture of us with him there.
That's true. And that's what he said to me when I met him. Like, I am this generation's Undertaker. I was like, I know. That never happened, for the record. So, Carl, what did happen, though? AEW All In pre-sale went up this week.
It was.
And they have actually broke a UK record. Now, I'm going to have to read this, so I'm going to be looking down on this. Right. But, and this may have even changed since then. I'm pretty sure it's gone up. But 36,000 tickets sold, which totaled £3.8 million or $4.7 million on day one.
Yeah. So
God damn. And I think it's at 43,000 now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So obviously as of day two. So they're still in the pre-sale stage. I think it goes on general sale on Friday the 5th. So, a fair play. I saw a lot of tweets going around about how they'll struggle to get 10k over here and they're going to just the nicest.
The typical negativity. Even now, like, they haven't even gone on general sale. It's all pre-sale. Yeah. They're at 43,000 that last time I checked.
Yeah.
And people are still like, what's a 90,000 arena? It's like,
exactly.
Calm the fuck down.
Exactly.
Jesus.
They're flying out and they're going to get a fantastic record. Shout out to Jericho as well, because some knobhead on Twitter basically put something out saying, I'll bookmark this now just so I can remind you, Chris, when you struggle to get more than 10k worth of whatever. And obviously Jericho replied to saying, I bookmarked this too just so I could come back and tell you to go fuck yourself. It's like,
fair play to to Jericho. I know some people, like, for some reason want to hate him, but he's funny. He's a legend.
Right. Nothing pisses me off more at the moment than the whole tribalism thing. It's ridiculous. Why not just be happy that wrestling is in a boom period and people like wrestling?
Look,
I don't get
anyone who's listened to this show for any length of time knows that we've bitched about both.
Yeah, of course we will.
Like, and we have, and we're not like, it may have, like, in the early years, it may have seemed like we were proper fanboys of AEW because we had more criticism of WWE at the time.
Oh, but Triple H, the Messiah, came in though, didn't he?
We were just watching all of it, right? And we only watch AEW and WWE. We've admitted that. We know that there's some great stuff going on in Impact and so on like that. But in terms of the hours we fit in, we do prioritise AEW and WWE. But we do watch them. And we will either praise or complain about both. And that's fine. But when you literally just like, doesn't matter what they do, I'm going to call them cunts. It's like, why? What's the point in this, man? Yeah.
Fans, just be fans, will you? Yeah. I think it's a phenomenal result for AEW and excited to see if they can sell the whole thing out.
Hell yeah.
So if you saw our interview with the one and only Megha Parekh, the fantastic Chief Legal Officer and Senior Vice President of AEW.
And basically everything.
Yeah, and anywhere else, because we've been everywhere this past week. But obviously we interviewed Megha, but we didn't get a chance to actually speak about some of the stuff she said. And obviously she revealed a lot of awesome stuff.
Indeed.
But one of the things that came out, which has made the news a lot this week, is that All Out is going to take place the week after.
It's pretty crazy that, you know, because in the conversation at the time, that's not something I like grasped onto like that strongly. But the fact that like since like the media's gone, I'm like,
yeah. Well, I think
really? Wow.
I think Anthony Bowens alluded to it, didn't he? Like a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Something like that. And people were like, well, that's weird. But now obviously with Megha confirming it, everyone's going, okay, it actually is. And like people, it's been a very mixed reaction. Some people have gone, well, this is awesome. You know, it's had like 2 fantastic shows in 2 weeks from AEW. This is going to be like mega, no pun intended, right? And then other people have gone like, this is the biggest mistake they're ever going to do. How are they going to build 2 shows and all this kind of stuff? I'm like, WrestleMania's 2 nights now.
Yep.
So I don't really see the main difference. Like, I don't think anyone's going to be shortchanged. Why can't they? Like, no one knows.
I take your points, but I think there may be a level of shortchange in that they're going to put more effort into All In because it's their first foray into the UK.
They might do, or they can be clever with it. So they might have all the stars on both shows, but they might do, you know, say for example, if CM Punk does come back, maybe we will get CM Punk versus Kenny Omega in a singles match, but we might also get CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite. And they can be on 2 separate shows, and they're just as big of a deal.
Yeah, I take your point. So I think if they box clever like that, and this is the thing, it's like people straight away, it's like, oh, they're going to fail. It's like, well, the risk is higher, yes, but they may not. Yeah, we just have to see. And
you know, there's loads of stuff like fantastic examples of things like that. You could have Saraya taking on Jamie Hayter, but in London as the 2 Brits.
I mean, there's definitely going to be some Brit like connection there, isn't there? Yeah, they're definitely going to do stuff like that.
You might do Britt Baker turning heel on Jamie Hayter after the show or during the show, and then having Britt versus Jamie. You know what I mean? They're 2 phenomenal matches that you could do. Britt versus
Britt.
Well, yeah. So you know, I think people are. I don't really get it. Basically, the only thing I can kind of understand or see the concerns is, are these 2 pay-per-views? Are they going to be charging $50 each or whatever?
Yeah, that's a legitimate criticism.
But the belief, at least from a lot of people in the media, is that All In America is going to be on HBO, not HBO Max, like Warner Brothers Discovery or whatever the fuck it's called, their streaming network. It's going to be offered to them.
I think it's actually Discovery Plus, you know.
All right, well, whatever it is.
It's all part of WB, but I think it might be Discovery Plus.
But I think it is a new one, but I think they've got Discovery Plus as part of it now.
I was kind of hoping, because we have Discovery Plus in this country, I was kind of hoping that AEW might end up on there, because my wife's got it for various different random shows. And I'm like, come on. But it's still with ITV, which is fine.
Well, I mean, it could end up on ITV box office over here. I don't really know how it's going to be.
No, that's gone.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's Fight TV.
It'll end up somewhere. Fight it'll be.
But, yeah, you know, ITV box office closed down like a week after they opened, so
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think it's exciting news as far as I'm concerned, and I'm interested to see what it is that they do.
Yeah, I agree. So, Carl, as we all remember, Shane O'Mac, he's always followed in his father's footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
And in a typical McMahon style, tore his quads. Was it quads? Tore his quads.
Definitely one quad.
A quad. So obviously everyone remembers the slight sort of mishap at WrestleMania 39 when Shane was going to come out and have his go at beating up the Miz, because that was like a running theme.
Booked by Triple H, by the way, guys.
Yeah. Like, okay, I'll not moan too much, but why are they treating Shane like he's like a legend? It's like, oh, it'd be great if he turned up. He's not Hulk Hogan or The Undertaker. It's Shane O'Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was that meant to achieve? No one expected him, but that's not like a good surprise. No offense. But anyway, so the segment didn't quite go as planned. And I actually felt bad for the Miz because he got a bit of criticism for it as well, which is a bit unfair given, like, you know, no one expected the guy to tear his quad.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's okay. He's recovering. He's on the road to recovery. And interestingly, Mike Chioda. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
I don't want to pronounce it wrrong.
Yep.
I wanted to go with a ch, but I was like, no, it's Chioda.
Chioda.
Has actually confirmed. He said that Shane O'Mac will be back in that ring, brother. He's working out hard right now. He's going to be back. I wish him a speedy recovery. So,
yay!
I'm just like, why? I know he's like, trophy wise, he's the best wrestler in the world. But let's be honest. Is anyone like, oh, we really need him back in the ring? Like, he's fun to have around. He doesn't even need to be back in the ring. Just make some appearances here and there.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even mind him as a GM, but it's like, other than the coast to coast,
yeah,
what does he do?
He really like outstayed his welcome in
things.
terms of a performer, didn't he? The whole best in the world stuff, and just, you know, hung around like a bad smell. So obviously speedy recovery to him, but hopefully that doesn't mean he's going to be ever present in the ring, because I don't think anyone really wants that.
No.
But a surprise, which I'm guessing is going to air this week. By the time you're watching this, it's probably airing.
Probably happened. Yep.
Is former Naomi, Trinity Fatu, has decided to opt for Impact Wrestling. So she made her debut at the tapings this past week. And yeah, I think that took a lot of people by surprise. I think everyone was wondering where she was going to end up, with Mercedes going to Stardom, and obviously talks breaking down with Trinity and WWE about a potential return. So she's chosen Impact. You know, the reason for that, she cited the women's division as being potentially the best division out there at the moment.
It's definitely unsung.
She said she's watched it from afar, and you know, it's something she's wanted to be a part of for a long time.
I mean, to be honest, Impact have been quietly decent for a long time, but people just remember it sort of imploding on itself and don't really give it the time of day. But it's actually it's a decent promotion at the moment. Yeah,
there's a lot of good stuff, especially like the women's division is the standout for me at the minute. In there, like the whole stuff with Mickey James and
the last rodeo. Yeah,
I've loved all of that. So hopefully when she heals up, we'll get to see Mickey versus Trinity as well. I think will be awesome.
And let's face it,
still got shit stuff. Got Bobby Fish in there.
Yeah, although nothing's funny. Nothing's funny. That's Impact. Nothing's funnier than Bobby Fish coming into Impact like he was a big deal and getting no reaction. Yes. Nothing's funnier than that.
Yeah.
I just don't know what he was thinking. But do you know what? Like, I think there's a merit to, like, because a lot of people are trying to, again, oh, Trinity's joined Impact. Let's talk shit about AEW because that's what we do, right? But and a lot of people, you know, very much, oh, you know, it's a small company, it's a small pond kind of thing. But I think she deserves sort of to be like a big fish at the minute. And if that means being an Impact and getting some recognition as a big deal, so be it, because she's never really got much respect. I think even the hashtag Justice for Naomi or something like that was trending at one point because she just got shit on consistently in WWE as far as booking went.
Yeah.
She could be over as fuck, and if she needs to prove a point, and I'm not saying use Impact to prove a point, but at the end of the day, Impact are probably going to treat her like a big deal because to them she is.
Yeah, I think as well. Like, I don't think anyone can argue her in-ring credentials. I'm really keen to understand how her promo ability is when given the focus and time. Whether she can hone that a bit more there, because you know, if she can do that, then she could just be an absolute megastar. Do you know what I mean? So
indeed,
I'm excited for her though. I think it's a good move. You know, the women's division in WWE and AEW is very kind of oversaturated at the minute. There's a lot of talent there.
There is.
So I think as well as Impact,
it's a wise move, really.
Yeah, Impact's got a great women's division, but I think there's a bit more room to make an impact, if you will. So excited to see how that goes.
Indeed. So speaking of women in wrestling, Carl, Leva Bates has actually put up a tweet quite recently. I won't give you the verbatim But it's a very heartfelt message, sort of confirming that her contract has come to an end with AEW. And obviously, just most of the message was about sort of being grateful for the opportunities, people she's met, etc. But basically confirming that she's not continuing on with AEW. There's no suggestion of like renewing that contract. So I don't know whether that's a choice by her or a choice by AEW. But unfortunately, Leva Bates will no longer be in AEW.
Yeah, it's a shame though. She's done a lot of work behind the scenes as well. I think she head
Yes.
up the social media for the company at press, press events and stuff like that, like media scrums and stuff. She's always the one kind of, doing a lot of work for Tony. You can always see her in the background and doing stuff. So, could be a massive loss for them. Obviously, she is a wrestler though, and maybe it's the fact that she hasn't been given a lot of opportunity to do that.
Yeah, maybe.
She's. I don't know how old she is now, but I don't think she's got loads more years left in the ring potentially. So maybe she wants to just go elsewhere and kind of.
We're talking like maybe it's a little bit of a swerve in that sense. Like maybe this is her saying goodbye to her wrestling career. Like that's not to say that she's not going. She might still be involved. Like it's a different sort of. It's not a talent contract, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's a different sort of thing if you're going to be an employee. So maybe it's something like that. That's purely speculation on my part, but
yeah. I'm excited to see what where she goes. I know Aaron Peter Avalon obviously had a lot of stuff on screen together, and I think he's kind of gone now as well, hasn't he, from AEW as well. So I'm not sure where they'll end up or what she's going to do next, but obviously wish her all the best.
Indeed.
And the last one, we just thought we'd end with a little bit of a couple of nice congratulations messages this week. So firstly to Carmella and Corey Graves, who, as we know,
fantastic news for these two. Yeah,
obviously they've suffered miscarriage or miscarriages in the past, and obviously they're delighted to announce that they're pregnant. So fantastic news for them. Saw the video. Have you seen the video of how she announced it to the stepchildren and stuff like that? So obviously she looks made up. All the kids look made up and stuff. So
that's awesome.
Great news for them. So.
Yeah, like especially obviously I think the media became quite aware of the situation quite recently with Carmella when she had some time out, and that was devastating for her. So just to see them happy is just awesome.
Absolutely. So look, wishing them all the best, and also massive congratulations to Gunther and Ginny, former NXT UK, who have tied the knots. And Gunther, just when you thought he couldn't do more than what he does with his in-ring ability, not only does he look sharp as fuck, but he can dance. I don't know if you've seen the videos,
talented dude.
Fantastic dancer as well. But congratulations to these two
Indeed.
on their recent marriage. And I don't know if they're going to go away on honeymoon or something, but whether we're going to see Gunther away from TV for a bit. But just wish them obviously all the success for the future.
Indeed.
And
all around.
That's it.
That's all she wrote.
That's it. Don't know why I went back to Triple H. I'm so used to the old format of going back to another thing, but we're not doing that. Freshening it up. So let us know what you think of diving straight into the news without the introduction and stuff like that. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out our other segments this week. We're talking Backlash predictions, and we've got a segment. We're collaborating with a couple of other wrestling content creators out there.
All right, stop.
Get the F out.
Elaborate and listen.
Check all them out, and until next time, we will say bye.